Madam President?
Sean did it.
Craig?
It's yours?
It's Leonard.
You wanted that.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Merrillville Town Council meeting for today, Tuesday, May 24th at 6:30 p.m. Please stand for the invocation, then followed by a moment of silence.
Let's pray. Oh God, our Father, we come before you this evening. Father, on our hearts is the tragedies of this day. Father, it even makes us more so concerned about praying for safety in our community. Thankful that we have those who have undertaken the task of providing security and safety for us and help when needed. Father, our prayers are for our community. Protect us, please. As well, Father, I pray for the men and women in this room tonight, for the wisdom that is needed to make the decisions to help this community grow, for it to be a place where families can flourish and children can play and lives can be lived to their richest. Father, that's our prayer tonight, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Moment of silence, please. Commissioner Ward, would you lead us in the pledge tonight, please? Tonight we welcome Robin, who's going to sit in for Kelly White Gibson as our clerk treasurer tonight. Please call the roll for the council.
Councilman Spann.
Present.
Vice President Hardaway.
Here.
Councilman Minchuk.
Here.
Councilwoman Uselak. Here. Councilman Pettit.
Here.
Councilman White.
Here.
President Bella.
Here. All 7 members present, thank you. Moving on to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. You have before you the letter from the Town Engineering Administrator endorsing Core Construction's recommendation to approve payment for application number 2 to various vendors for work completed at the Merrillville Town Hall Conference Room. The total amount is $52,990.72.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway with a second by Mrs. Uzelak for approval. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Moving on tonight to the consent agenda. We have the accounts payable voucher approval for May 24th and the approval of the town council meeting minutes for May 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pettit, Mrs. Uselak, the second by Mr. Pettit. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to standing committees, budget and finance, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple things. We had our first grant application meeting today, and we approved it for Griffith Realty down at 55th and Broadway. He's looking to spend $6,900, and we're going to pay half of that to do his parking lot and get it striped and ready to go. He lost a great deal of money in the last couple of years, and we have all of the documentation. So we thought that it was a great project that we approved this afternoon. Secondly, for department heads, be prepared toward the end of June. We're going to start meeting for next year's budgets. We'll come out with a schedule for you guys so that you'll know, and we'll sit down with everybody to get prepared for 2023. I think that's all I got right now.
Okay. Council Affairs, Mr. Pettit.
Mr. President, we've had a couple of meetings, and I would like to ask you if you have found a workshop date. Joe and I would like to present a draft ordinance on some changes to the bylaws, which I believe is Chapter 2, Joe?
Yes.
And I don't know if you've selected a workshop yet, Mr. President.
I haven't, but we talked about doing it the week of June 6th. If folks are available, it's the week prior to our council meeting. That way, any action we want to do, we could do at the meeting.
Question then over to Ms. Shine. Do we have a Plan Commission workshop on June 7th?
Yes.
We do. Okay, so we'll have a Plan Commission Tuesday night.
Okay, 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just, whenever you call the workshop, I have another item later on the agenda as well for the workshop.
I'm thinking the 8th will work if everyone's available.
June 8th?
Yes.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Get back to me.
Okay,
Anything else, Mr.
that's
Pettit?
all.
Public Works and Utilities, Mr. Minchuk.
I have nothing at this time, unless Steve, you got anything?
I do not at this time, no.
Okay, thank you.
Elections, Public Relations, Town Beautification, Mr. Pettit.
Yes, Mr. President, this is the other item that I'd like to present. Bob Sani and Leonard and I and Steve have met on the 3 entrances that we want to take a look at, the bridges, and Tagi Arshami from the Arsh Group has come up with an interesting concept that we'd like to present to the rest of the council and see what your thoughts are for 61st and I-65, 93rd or 101st and I-65, and then US 30 and I-65 as you come into town. And I'll present that at the workshop.
Super. Environmental Affairs, Mr. White.
Yes, Mr. President, I have some COVID-19 metrics. The most recent ones, Lake County actually has, excuse me, reported 841 new cases of COVID, actually, and the report does not include those tests that people taking home because there's no way to track that. So we'll put that down. According to the infection rate at this time is at 1.1%. So things are kind of low level, but not safe. The positivity rate seemed like it jumped a little bit. I don't know, Marge, most of the time.
Oh, yes, we had one that passed away in Lake County last week,
Okay.
and one in Porter County last week, too.
Yes.
Northwestern University has just put out a report. This is the worst virus we have had in 100 years. So it doesn't look like it's going away, it's still out there. And the box stores, they do request the mask, to wear the mask when you go in shopping. But I guess that's about it. Just be careful, make sure you have your shots. Oh, and they are coming out with another booster shot, too. I have heard that. And the people in HEPA, the senior citizen group in your ward, Jeff, they've been getting the 4th shot now, the 2nd booster, okay? And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marge.
Thank you,
And
President.
Marge is absolutely right. The CDC did say that if you're over 50, now you can get that that second booster shot, and I'll be there sometime next week, right after Memorial Day. Then going back to the percentage of people that are vaccinated and had one dose was 65%. And additionally, 25% of Lake County residents have had the booster shot. So if you want to get a second one.
And the state of Indiana is showing 97.5 all have had their shots
Great.
so far.
So we should be in
State of
good shape
Indiana.
on the shot.
And that includes children over 5, too.
Yes. So any additional data is available on the Lake County Health Department dashboard, as well as the Indiana Department of Health dashboard. So if you want to really look at the entire metrics and the trends and things, those are available on those sites. At this time, nothing else to add to that report, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. That's it.
Thank you. Personnel Policy and Employee Benefits, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. One thing I think, Steve, we're still looking for one new employee for Public Works, or are we good?
We're good for right now. We're going to use the summer help staff that we have to make it through the summer, and after that, we'll be looking for, I think we'll have 3 positions open.
After the summer?
After the summer, yeah. We're fine with we'll use the summer help we have for now, and then after the summer, we'll look at filling the 3 permanent positions we have.
Thank you. You guys have done a good job with, maintaining the personnel, we just keep having that turnover.
Yeah.
turnover. It's not through no fault of ours.
No, it's, no,
It's,
we're just,
the
we're,
nature of the beast, I guess.
yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public Safety, Mr. Minchuk.
We have a meeting scheduled for this Thursday. Also, I'd just like to remind the rest of the council that the contract we signed with the FOP was a one-year contract, so we will be looking at that again. They have reached out to me, want to do some just very preliminary beginning talks, probably this month sometime. So once I hear a little bit from them, I'll report back to all of you.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mrs. Uzelak.
All of the parks are up to par with the mowing, and the bike trail too. In Torrance, I do have a lady that wants to go into the Rosenbaum Park for a party with the kids. That will be in July. So I will call you and give you her name, and they also want the fire truck there too. So that's in my ward, the 4th Ward. And they had one last year, and it was a complete success. So I hope it goes well this year too.
Great.
And that's about it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Pettit, I'm sorry, I skipped over Economic Development.
That's okay. Later on in the agenda, we have a resolution, the third step in creating the sub-allocation area for the silos at Sanders Farm. I think everybody might be aware that Crow Holdings now owns the 195 acres, which was the old Sanders Farm down on Mississippi. They closed on it, and I think Sean is chomping at the bit to start moving dirt out there and putting the sewers and the infrastructure in. So we'll act on that resolution later on.
Very good. Abandoned and blighted properties, Mr. Hardaway.
The only thing I can think of, Mr. President, is as I ride through and looking at the grass, we are in horrible shape for that. I've been in contact with Vicky and her crew to make sure that we start going after these people. I know we've got like the 8-inch minimum, but now we've got some 12, 14 inches out there that we just need to address. And I think, Vicky, for you guys, that you guys need to make a concerted effort every day to just go from north to south, east to west, and let's just start tagging these houses and make sure that people know that they need to cut their grass.
I have the amount of warnings that we've issued that I was
Okay.
going to talk about.
All right, thank you.
I would
And-
like to add, Tiffany was through the whole 4th Ward, and I went after her. So everything is trying to be kept up
That's
at
good.
this time.
And I have a question for Mr. Swettendahl. We called a guy, I called a guy that was putting out those "We Buy Houses" signs. And so when I took a picture of his license plate, the license plate came back to his grandmother probably. So, because I wanted to give the guy a ticket for every one we pulled. But if it came back to his grandmother, do we have it, can we do anything there, or are we just stuck?
We're stuck.
We stuck? Thank you. All right. I'm not happy with that answer, but but yeah,
Well, I'm gonna call him like I see him, so.
well, yeah, you like a baseball umpire, I understand. But, no, because, and I encourage everyone up there that as you drive through, you pay attention, and you're gonna catch these
Well,
guys.
here's what I suggest. Next time you see him out, call the police, have the police stop him and get his identification.
Okay, all right,
And then you can write 1,000 tickets and mail them to him.
right. And that's what that's kind of like how we're gonna that's how we're gonna stop this thing. We gotta catch them in the act and
Right.
get the correct identification.
Right, because they have the authority to stop on even an ordinance violation,
Right.
so.
All right, thank
And
you.
it may be considered trespassing anyway, so.
Right.
Well, can't you have the Public Works pull the sign?
Well, we can pull the signs,
Yeah.
but that's, the nuisance marge is that they kind of like rabbits. They just keep popping up.
Oh, like rabbits?
Okay.
That's a good answer, like rabbits.
Can
That's all I got, Mr. President.
can I comment on that?
Mr. King.
So we do pull the signs, as often as we can. There was one day, we had a rain day and not much going on. We pulled 180 We Buy House signs.
Wow.
We pull these things all the time. It takes a lot of our time to do this, and it's a constant battle we have.
Now, what about these people standing on Route 30 with buckets collecting
That's not a sign.
They're running in front of the traffic.
We
They're
went down that road
Nothing you can
when
do, yeah.
Don't
Steve
we
Bauer
have an
was here.
ordinance for that, to
No,
stop
No.
them?
Not on 30, because 30 is.
state right away.
Oh, we can't?
No.
Nope.
State, okay.
State's not gonna enforce it, we can't enforce it.
Right.
Well, no matter what their cause, it's very annoying when you're driving.
Yeah.
I don't want to hit anybody, but they run right out in front of your car almost.
Don't run them over, Marge.
Oh,
Mr. President, I would just like to add to Councilman Hardaway's statements. We do see that a lot, and I think I talked to Steve about it. He called them advertisement signs. So we do need some way to flap that down, because that's a good cause for them. They can leave that sign out there for 10 hours. It's done its purpose.
Tell you, those advertising signs,
I'm not talking about your advertising sign.
I mean, illegal signs.
the Lamar, are you talking Lamar?
Non-permitted signs.
So I think we do agree with Richard on that one, that we do need to find some kind of way. I don't know if it's in our ordinance. You said we can't do anything about it, but it's costing.
Yeah, we can.
No, what I didn't say you can't do anything about it. They have an identification to some older person's car.
Sure.
You can't issue the tickets if you know it's not the person who committed the act.
Yeah, because
What I'm saying is when they're out putting those signs down, call the police, have the police stop them on an ordinance violation, get their identification, then write them, how many ever.
180 tickets we could have wrote,
Yeah,
that he picked up.
yeah.
So I just wanted to add to that, because it doesn't look good, and somebody's really smart about it, because it's just like a flower. It wasn't there during the daytime, but it come out at night. So I just wanted to make that statement as well. We need to.
Well, I think the Council Affairs Committee is looking at beefing up some of our
Some of the
yeah,
ordinances.
Vicky,
so that-
yeah, we've got a list of,
so we
Oh,
can do
we've
something,
got a bunch
because
of
one
them.
for sure I think we need to look at is, if someone takes a couch, and this just happened recently, and dumps it in an empty field in a
Oh.
neighborhood,
Terrible.
and they're caught, that needs to be a hefty fine and a ticket.
Sure.
Period. We have to stop people from disrespecting town property and dumping televisions and couches and whatever else just out in the field. But it's another answer is, what do we do with waste management? Do we need a dumpster program? Do we need some way that people can legally dispose of their large items?
well, the problem you
Because-
had, and Leonard can attest to this, when Lake County Solid Waste, when we had those dumpsters at Strax over there on 73rd and it was a train wreck. It turned out to be a
It made
train
it
wreck.
worse, because people took advantage that didn't even live here.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, it's not even just in the dumpsters, it's all on the ground.
All around it.
So, yeah, I guess we do have to come up with something in the terms of how we're gonna address some of what I call illegal dumping. I think,
Solid Waste District help us out with paying for dumpsters on a particular Saturday?
you know, I
once a
did
month?
try that just most recently, and they told me, well, we give you recycling grants money. But I'm saying, okay, that's different. This is something that we need to address in the long term. So I'll take it back to the board. Because when I do my report, I'll tell you about all the money they just spent, so I'm sure they can afford it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Dean and Barbara White Community Center, Mr. Pettit.
Real quick, Mr. President, we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 5:30 at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. Mr. Price, we've got several things to go through, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Special projects, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. Juneteenth is June the 18th. We're in the final stages of it. We've got, I think 28 vendors
Oh, wow.
so far, and I think 22 of them have paid. So we're just waiting on the other 5 or 6 to pay. We've got everything else set up. We've met with Public Works and Fire and Police last week. And so we've got the logistical part of this already pretty well mapped out. We're just looking for a great time there. The signs will be going out, the signs and the banner will be out by Friday. I spoke to Steve today. So we're gonna get the banners up across Broadway, the yard signs at the entrances to all of the subdivisions. How many yard signs did we order?
100.
100. So we got 100 yard signs, Steve. So make sure that when they put them in, that they put them in the ground so that they don't blow away.
Or
So,
we can just find that guy that you found, he can put them up.
And drive your grandmother's car.
Yeah, see, there you go, community service.
Well, Richard, I had a lot of people calling me, and they'd like to know if we could have another concert before the summer's over.
He's got the, you'll get to that when in his report. 'Cause
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's got some concerts coming.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got some coming.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people want a concert now.
Right, yeah. So we've
We
got
have the
Juneteenth,
cruising
and we're
center.
excited about that. Then
Oh,
we've
the
got, 4th of July, and I am finally happy to announce that we will have fireworks.
On the 3rd of July.
On the 3rd of July at dusk, and we're gonna shoot the fireworks off at the high school property, behind the school, behind the football field, in a big field. So it's all been, everything except the signature, they're waiting on the signature, we get the signature, then we'll be good to go there. Then the parade will kick off at 1:30 on July the 4th. We'll start lining it up somewhere around 11 o'clock. And according to what I saw from you, is that we're going to shut Broadway down at 1:15.
Yes,
I would say that we probably need to shut it down about 1.
it's only a small stretch though, so.
Okay, if that's what you say, I'll yield to you.
Chief Curtino's going to take care of that for us.
So, but I think that we're looking for a great time there. And then, soon as we get through with the Juneteenth celebration, then we'll start planning the National Night Out. My vision for National Night Out is we've got 7 wards, and we will have an area for each ward, so that the people that live in Ward 2 can just congregate in Ward 2. And the people that live in Ward 3 can just congregate Ward 3, give everybody the opportunity to meet their neighbors. You know, so that's my vision right now for that, Mr. President. I think that that's going to be a great time, and all we're putting there is the space, and everybody can bring their lawn chairs and their grills or whatever they want to do, and make it their little Ward 2 party, Ward 7 party, or whatever.
And that's August 2nd, right?
That's August the 2nd, first Tuesday in August. And still it's still out, invitations still out there. Anybody that wants to have any input in the Juneteenth or the 4th of July parade. We haven't really met because we still got to finalize. We got to meet with the first responders before we have another parade committee meeting. So after we do that, then we will be able to finalize the 4th of July parade, which is fast approaching. That's all I got.
Well, that's a lot, thank you. Moving on tonight on department and commission reports, Lake County Solid Waste Management, our representative is Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Solid Waste District held a meeting last Thursday. It's the first in-person meeting since a year and a half ago, since the COVID situation actually jumped off. And actually, we held it in a new building, the new location down here on.
Really?
Yes. We had 17 people there, which is a lot for solid waste board members because they don't like to, they like to go at 14 and then they're there. We also had our Citizens Advisory Committee that were there, so things went pretty well. There's a couple things I do want to talk about that I thought that we should have known about before. The district's attorney, Cliff Dugan, resigned. I think he went over to the MS4 coordinator, something of that nature. And I found out a day before the board meeting that he resigned. As a matter of fact, I think the entire board found out a day before the meeting that he resigned. Additionally, the new guy there, name is Mr. Touche. He's now the Lake County Solid Waste District's attorney. I'd never seen him before, but he says, "Hey, you the guy that make all that noise out there." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Huh?
He left the MC.
Oh, no, that's just multiple things that these guys kind of get involved in. When you're an attorney, you can go to more than one place. So they did hire him. They're paying him $15,000 a year in the terms of just a flat rate, and then they're paying him $1,200 a month in a stipend. So that's Mr. Touche. And additionally, we did talk about the assessed value that the solid waste district has to pay back according to the overassess. I think for the South Lake Mall. They said the price was $174,000 that we have to pay back. But I was also just listening to other entities that had to pay back a lot more than they do. I seen something like $20 million out there that people have to pay back, or I should say a tax entity has to pay back because it was overassessed.
Merrillville Schools was $7 million.
Yes.
And
Merrillville,
that's not
2.2 million
even all the
higher.
years yet. There'll be another probably 12 on top of that.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty close to 20 million, which, that's a big amount for, taxpayers. In the sense of, I didn't think we seen it when we were spending the dollars, but certainly they had to pay those dollars back. I don't know how, what the method, but it was called a settlement. So that's something that the board talked about as well. They also wanted to hire a office manager, which I wasn't on board with the office manager because there's not a whole lot to do there for $34,000. We can just send Pat there to answer the phone if it's that important. So at the end of the day, that's the report. The building looks pretty good. If any councilmen want to go down there or any parts of the public want to go down there at the old Girl Scout building, it's nice.
What's the
Well, just
address?
8600 something. I don't know the address, but it's right off of Broadway.
Right on
Now,
Broadway?
yes.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you another one, East Broadway. I did have a problem with spending $750,000 to do an education room. I thought that was way more than we need to educate people. They're talking about like a Rainforest Cafe type educational room. I just thought $750,000 was more than what I could support. And I voted no on that. So,
What is the vote, the final vote?
of course, I was the only one that voted against it. So it was 15-1, 15 for, 1 against. And I was the guy that, yes, because I just thought that. Last but least, I also made a motion to the Solid Waste District Board that we start, instead of just giving those lump sums in the terms of $100,000 in January, then another $100,000 in June or July, that we just do a one-time thing, and they agree with, just giving all the communities, because all the communities are complied with all the regulations that Solid Waste District put out. So they're just going to do that one time, and so you get a chance to spend your money a lot earlier than you normally would. I have nothing else to add to that report, sir.
Thank you. Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met this past Thursday in executive session, and we had a couple things there. The state, the federal government's going to put out 500,000 charging stations throughout up and down highways. But the one thing is that they're not going to put in any rest areas, but they will put them in strategic places up and down the interstates. The state of NDOT is also giving away 14,000 bicycle helmets to second graders. They started that. I think they went to Hobart and Hammond or someplace else this past week. So that's something that's going to be going into all of the elementary schools. The final thing that I have is, the mowing. NDOT is aware of what their areas look like, and they're going to start mowing them. They just asked that we be patient about that, and they will get to them. And finally, I had a conversation, they talked about the license plate reader stuff that was taken down off the poles. I had a conversation with NDOT on Thursday, and we have to put up breakaway poles in order for us to have license plate readers on their property. And we have to fill out a permit, file a permit with them. They'll approve the permit, but we can't put anything on their poles.
Okay.
So, and I've explained that to the chief already, and he's on board with it. And the reason being is that the license plate reader, it affects their signal or something.
Okay.
And so when they take them down, we just need to make sure that if they take them down, that we get the equipment back And so far, the chief has assured me that we've got everything back from NDOT, but if we don't have it, let me know, and I've got the guy's card, and I'll give him a call personally and tell him that we need our stuff. That's all I got.
Thank you. Stormwater Management Resources Director Matt Lake.
Yeah, real quick. Robinson Engineering finished the field survey work for the Southmore Park Drainage Improvement Project. That's Phase 2. Trying to time this so that we're in step with MCD's improvements within that subdivision, so we have construction going on at the same time. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with DLZ. We're going over the Marcella Road project in Georgia Heights. There's a few technical things we need to go over. They're well into design, so they should be wrapping that up because I want to get that out for a bid as soon as possible. And we're doing our first urban ag interface project, one that's going to help Grassfield subdivision as well as Auburn Hills and Randolph Street. With the cooperation of a farmer, we're working on a permanent drainage easement for that project. So I think it's going to solve a lot of problems within that area for the minimal amount of cost, given the circumstances. We had to do an emergency repair on 57th Avenue near the Prusen Center property for lateral 6. We did have to shut the road down. Sometimes that happens. It's a last-minute thing. We called around emergency agencies, the schools and everything to make them aware that, we are shutting that road down. And we got a lot of, infrastructure. Sometimes it just has a mind of its own. It collapses, and we're able to step in, luckily, with some contractors that we have a very good rapport with, because I'll tell you right now, it's hard to get contractors out and on site, especially short-term notice. We're also going to be replacing culvert 101st and Randolph, coordinating with Steve on when we're going to do that project and shut that road down. It's a pretty big culvert, it's a 72-incher. But just knowing that the bottom's all rotted out, so we need to replace that. So, and overall, we're seeing costs go up, just with contractors, we're getting quotes, and the numbers coming back seem to be, 3 and 4 times what they used to be. So we got to be mindful of that when we do budgets coming up soon this year. So that's all I had.
Thank you. South Shore Visitors and Convention Authority, our representative is our town manager, Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. In your packet, as opposed to inundating you with multiple pages and copies of literature relevant to the South Shore, there's one page. And you see an address. I would encourage you to access along the southshore.com, learn all about the activities, and there are numerous here in Merrillville and certainly countywide. And at our most recent meeting on the 19th, we officially engaged our new president and CEO. Of course, as announced, that's Mr. David Moran, former mayor of Crown Point. That concludes my report.
Very good, thank you. Fire Territory Board?
We have no meeting scheduled at all, but before you get into the departments, I do have a report on something else, sir.
Okay.
I know last week we talked about, the young man asked about the dog park. Just to give everybody up to date on what's going on with the dog park, myself and the committee I formed with Matt and several others, we went out, we got the development the company that put the plan together. They gave us our first estimated cost, and to be honest with you, I had a heart attack. Right now, cost of supplies are just skyrocketing. So the cost of the project, of course, went up. We went back to the drawing board, kind of cut down a little bit on some things that can be added on maybe later throughout time. And now we have our bottom line price as well. What we're going to do is, due to the nature of the cost of things right now, we're going to go ahead and take this summer and probably throughout the year and start our sponsorship campaign. We're currently getting together some items to sponsor. We're going to get some literature together. We're going to break it out to the media and to everybody else and see what we can do and what stance we're in at that time. So that's kind of where we're at. I'd like to see it go. I'd like to see groundbreaking this summer, or fall, but I don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It's something that's near and dear to our hearts. Everybody wants to see it. It's just going to take a little time. I promise it will happen.
Thank you, Jeff. You might want to look at some grants too, see what's out there.
We're looking at a bunch of things right now.
Department reports tonight. Chief Cotino.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Just two things I'd like to point out. First of all, Councilman Hardaway, we did retrieve our items when he took it down at the north end. And our officer that handling that situation from start to present, he would like to make himself available upon your request. He'll let you know who he's speaking with to make this become a reality back again, because we truly missed that particular site. Second of all, this is the summer, and our calls of service have increased. And just to give you a general idea, for the month of April, our calls of service was 2,500 within that month. And so far, we're sitting at May the 24th today, and our calls for services has increased. So the officers out there, they're doing a fine job, and we appreciate it. And last, school will be getting out in about 2 weeks, and we're asking for the public and the residents to be careful, because they're going to be in the neighborhoods, and we have to be careful as we driving up and down the road. And so the officers are going to be out there, and we're going to have to address it the best we can. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Chief, did you mention how many calls we've had so far in May this year? Did I miss it?
No, the numbers usually come out pretty much at the end of the month, but right now we're kind of busy.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, I wanted to bring up something. Before my Plan Commission meeting last week, I talked to several people that had lived in Hammond at one time, and the police department, when they see an Illinois plate, they issue a ticket. And the state so far is getting that money from the ticket after going to court. So I know we have to change our ordinances, but we have to do something about it. Just last week, in 2 days, I counted like 40 Illinois plates driving around Merrillville. So we are the ones that pay the tax, and we pay the wheel tax and the state tax. But I do know we have to do something. But in the meantime, our police department still can issue a ticket to an Illinois plate if they live in Indiana, like right here in Merrillville. And a few of our apartment buildings, they are loaded with Illinois plates. So I don't know if you have your men watching that, or if you ever thought of it, or what do you think?
Most definite. We took that in consideration some time back, but it was pending because it was under advisement, and I could refer back to counsel there, and he can pretty much tell us where we stand on that, because we would like to do that, because like you stated, if they reside here and they're not paying into the wheel tax as well.
Right.
And I know I'm paying twice, and so I'm pretty sure everybody else. And so we would like to get the approval, making sure that it's clear through the courts for us to go back and do it again, because we were doing it at one period of time. But then
watch out, there may be some constitutional violations. Indiana State Constitution and U.S. Federal Constitution. If you're going to run a roadblock or something along those lines, in terms of looking at those plates, we might have problems.
Well, couldn't he just stop a car driving out of their apartment with an Illinois plate and living in Merrillville?
We can talk about it.
Okay.
What we was going to do pretty much was check with the management, and if we see those vehicles there at extended length of time, we can see if they're registered, and we know that they're in violation of the 60-day, 30-day, and
Sure.
we could probably take some action. But we're looking forward to moving forward with that, but we just gotta
Right.
cross our T's and dot our I's.
Well, we're losing the tax money, so I hope we do something. But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief. Torrance, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. On June 4th, in partnership with Pop Warner Football, we're having a movie night at the Dina Barbite Community Center. From 7 to 9, we'll have, actually, Spider-Man will come and be able to take pictures with the kids. And then the movie will start about 8:45, and when it gets dark, and we'll watch the Spider-Man movie there at the community center. On June 11th, comment was about concerts. We have Cal and the Teachers Band will be at the Prusen Center performing on June the 11th. We're looking to have food trucks and different things out there. And also on June 25th, where we'll have Solid Players also playing at the Prusen Center. So those are 2 summer concerts right there for the month of June. Another one's coming up in July. Also, we've been working hard, and we do have some progress on part of our website where families now with the link can be able to view things and pre-register for different things on the website. They will not be able to pay for it, though, and we'll help them. We will explain that when you pre-register, it does not solidify your spot, but it would also have different function on there as like a calendar feature. They can see everything that's going on in the community center, when we have open gym going on, when we have ping pong and those type of things going on, the hours. So we're excited for that progress right now.
Did you say you are having a musical concert at the Prusen Center?
We have 2 of them going on, one on June 11th, the other one on June 25th.
Oh, are you taking applications from different bands at this time?
We've got 2 bands that's going to come, and it's already committed to. The thing we're solidifying now is the food trucks that's going to be out there on those nights.
Well, could other people give you their application too?
We're only having 1 performance that night. It's going from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. that night at the center. We're not going to do any more. Those are the only 2 we're doing this particular summer till we get some things together and we can put together a full concert series for like the entire summer for next summer.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Torrance, are you saying that the town of Merrillville is putting on those concerts?
Yes.
Okay, you do know where that's at, right? That's Prusen Center. That's in my area.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I hadn't heard about it.
Right.
I appreciate in the future that you kind of tagged me about it. It's right down the street from my house. I want to let people know as well. So I'll get with you in the next couple of days, and maybe you can give me some contacts so I can understand clearly what's going on, specifically if this is something that Merrillville is putting on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vicky, Code Enforcement?
Well, we have begun grass season, and so far in May, we've written 235 warnings. Okay, with those warnings come rechecks, so every one of those has to be rechecked and then has to be handled accordingly, either citations turned over to Public Works, et cetera. So we are extremely busy. One of the things we are hearing, though, which is kind of sad, is the gas situation. A lot of people are saying, well, you know, we can't hardly afford gas for our lawnmowers, so I don't even know what we can do. But, yeah, we're really busy right now, real busy. Thank you.
Hey, Vicki?
Yeah.
I got an email from a lady that 5341 Lincoln, that cut, the front was cut and the back wasn't. We talked about that.
Yeah, I told you I
The
wrote a
reason why the
ticket.
front was cut, because the neighbor cut it. It wasn't the.
Oh,
resident.
okay.
That's the reason why. So we still got to go back, we got to go after
They got a ticket.
whoever to get the back, because they said the back is like about a foot high right now.
They got a ticket today.
Huh?
I wrote them a ticket today.
Right.
So,
So,
yeah.
and so we may be coming to you, Steve, to knock down the back at some point.
There was a car there today, so she is right, that house isn't vacant.
Right.
It's the same car that's been there in the past since they bought that house, so.
All right.
Hey, Vic, if you don't mind jotting down one more address for me. 721 West 78th Avenue. Neighbors reached out to me about it, so if you just check it out.
Okay, does anybody else have anything?
Sorry.
I have a statement I'd like to say to you, Vicki.
Uh-huh.
What do we do with the homes that are vacant? They're not going to cut their grass, so do we have the town?
Yeah, Public Works takes care
okay.
of that. And then they're billed, and if they pay the bill, that's fine, and if they don't pay the bill, then the house is liened.
File a weed rank vegetation lien.
Okay.
To the home.
Noxious weed type?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Vicky.
Uh-huh.
Angie? Economic Development?
Hello. I just wanted to mention that myself and my staff attended the 2022 Economic Development course hosted by ICI Ball State University. It is a core rooted, accredited by the International Economic Development Council. It was very informative. It increased our knowledge, not only in economic development, but community development as well. We made a lot of connections with a variety of professionals in the field. The majority of them were from Indiana. There was one very, what's the word? Inspirational Michigan guy there. So he was, so I made lifelong connections with these individuals, and I'm very comfortable with reaching out to them as a resource with their creativity and ideas that we can bring to Merrillville. And just wanted to mention the job fair is July 21st. We'll be out making touches with our business community and in an effort to make that a successful program.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Where was that meeting at, Angie, the ICI?
Excuse me?
Where was that?
The course,
Yep.
it was a week-long course at Ball State University, Muncie, Indiana.
What city, what town, where did you go for that?
Muncie.
Muncie,
Oh,
Indiana.
Muncie, okay. Thank you.
And if there is a thing called, I don't want to get it wrong. It's the state pie, sugar cream pie. And they said if you've never had it, well, everybody in the room raised their hand except 4 of us Northwest Indiana gals. And so they were astonished that we never had this pie. So at lunch, they hurried up and scurried out and got us some of the pie, sugar cream pie, and it was different. I think being grown up with it, it's probably one thing, but it was good. If you never had it, I'd suggest try it.
Question for you, Angie.
Yes.
Mr. President, thank you. The question I have to ask, I think it might be directed both at you and Pat Reardon. I just need an update on where we at with what our conversation was for economic development on 61st Avenue. Is anything going on yet?
Pat, did you want to take that one?
Nice though.
Certainly. We continue to cultivate economic development opportunities on 61st Avenue. I know that a focal point for everybody, particularly you, Councilman, is the southwest corner. We've talked internally about ways to further attempt to assist the property owner in improving the property. And we are looking at ways to rewrite or expand, enhance our present facade rebate program. You know, we realize that, while it's a good program, it's limited presently in scope. And we are scheduling visits to specific areas in the town. When I say we, we're talking about economic development, to introduce ourselves, but more importantly, to share with the business owners what the town has to offer. So that's in a nutshell where we're at with that particular area.
And we actually actively, within meetings and talks with developers coming to the town, we do definitely touch base on that topic. And actually today in a meeting with Sheila, I had a brand new developer come in, and on their way out, they're going to make a visit up there and check things out. So we do actively speak of it because we know it does need attention, and it is part of our vision.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
Planning and Building, Ms. Shine?
I do have one thing. Our new fire inspector, Bob, he has been actively trying to, as we know, it's been an ongoing that we have some businesses in the town that don't feel like they should get a business license. He has really targeted those business, and last week we did about 20 business licenses for people who were already in the town, just going in, signing a lease with the, with the business, with the a building and getting in there and didn't have a business license. So we split the town up, and we're looking at trying to find those individuals who just go in and meet with the property owner, sign a lease, and start working. So I think that he's did a great job. We did 20 just last week of people just renting and didn't have a business license.
So obviously, Sheila, when he's doing that, you're getting that information then back to the clerk treasurer. So when those renewals go out in October, they'll be in the database then, right? And they'll get a renewal notice.
Renewal.
Okay.
He has it in his, on his laptop computer, where he just emails the people the business license right at that point, tells them what they need, and then they can in turns email it straight to the clerk treasurer's office and pay and get the business license right on the spot.
Anything else, Sheila?
No, thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. White?
Yes, this is for Sheila. I'm sure we got flippers here in Merrillville, flip homes. I never see any business licenses out there in the windows or anything and saying that they had permission from the town to put siding, to put roofing on these things. So I don't know how do we address it. Is that under the same criteria that you're talking about?
So if you see someone working and you don't see a building permit in the window, just call us, and Dan will go out, our building inspector, and if Dan's not there, I'll go, or either I'll send code enforcement to go out and say that in order to do work in the town of Merrillville, you need to have a building permit.
Thank you, Sheila.
Mr. King, Public Works.
Public Works is very busy. We're still doing the branch pickup throughout the town. Any residents out there, be patient. We're making our way through the town now as we speak. The Juneteenth signs will start going up tomorrow, rain or shine. The yard signs will be going out with help from Torrance's crew. At the Parks Department, they're going to help with putting some of these signs out. The banners will be going up Thursday or Friday, depending on the weather, but we'll have them up by end of day Friday. They'll be up.
Thank you, sir.
Construction-wise, the Broadway sidewalk project was supposed to start today. It did not happen. I'll find out why it did not. Also, our local paving program, the contracts were signed today. We have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow at 1:30, so I have a schedule on when all that work's going to begin. I would assume next week, probably out in the Panhandle with just some milling and paving work. There's not a lot of concrete work out that way, but I'll have a schedule sometime tomorrow, and I'll share that with the council once I get it. So,
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Mr. Span?
I'm worried about 63rd Place and 63rd Avenue getting paved. Haven't heard anything. I'd like to hear something.
as we talked, there's two Indiana American water projects that are going to take place on both of those streets. That's why we didn't pave them last year. We didn't want to spend the money to put a brand-new road in and then Indiana American come tear it up to replace the water main. So that's why we waited.
You know that 63rd Place caved in at 63rd and Wade Street, right on that corner. Just fell in. So I don't know what you're waiting on. I mean, that's a sign that something needs to be done.
it's.
You know, I'm not a street expert,
Okay.
but I don't want to see a kid riding a bike, some lady cutting her grass, going to the mailbox, falling and hurting herself. You know, that's very not what this town is about.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. I'm not trying to be, you know.
No, I completely understand.
I'm concerned about my people. That's
I completely understand.
Steve, why don't we get a barricade or cones or something to highlight the area that's bad and
Take a look at it first thing in the morning.
Okay.
They patched it. It's been patched, but it's still, that street fell in under the curb. Have you ever heard of that? I haven't.
Sure. Happened in Sedona just, 4 weeks ago, Matt?
Yeah, that was
Sinkhole.
It just happened on 57th. Just like Matt said, we just We had the same thing just happen on 57th, the sinkhole that was repaired.
Thank you, Steve. See, Mr. Reardon ran away to avoid his report. We'll come back to him, though. Moving on tonight to general orders. We have no ordinances tonight, either first or second readings. We do have two resolutions, though. The first resolution, 22-21, resolution of the Town of Merrillville approving the issuance of redevelopment district tax increment revenue bonds of the Town of Merrillville Redevelopment Commission and related matters. Would you please read that for the record?
Whereas the Town of Merrillville Redevelopment Commission contemplates the issuance of bonds in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $5 million to provide for the costs of certain local public improvements in or serving the Town of Merrillville Redevelopment District, and to pay related and incidental expenses to be incurred in connection therewith and on account of the issuance of bonds. And whereas the Town of Merrillville Town Council now desires to approve the issuance of bonds, and whereas the bonds shall be payable solely from tax increment revenues generated by one or more of the allocation areas located in the district. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town of Merrillville Town Council as follows. 1, the Town Council hereby approves the issuance of the bonds. 2, the bonds shall be issued in the maximum principal amount of $5 million, with a final maturity no later than 20 years after the date of issuance thereof, and shall bear a per annum interest rate not to exceed 7%. The bonds will be payable solely from the tax increment. 3, a portion of the proceeds of the bonds may be applied to pay capitalized interest on the bonds or to fund a reserve fund for the bonds if determined to be necessary or appropriate by the President of the Commission with the advice, the Commission's financial advisor. The bond may be subject to redemption prior to maturity on terms determined by the Commission prior to the sale of the bonds, with the advice of the Commission's financial advisor. 4, the proper officers of the town are hereby authorized and directed, for and on behalf of the town, to execute and deliver any contract, agreement, certificate, instrument, or other document to take any action as such person determines to be necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purpose of this resolution. Such determination to be conclusively evidenced by such person's execution of such contract, agreement, certificate, instrument, or other document, or such person's taking of such action. This resolution shall be full force and effect from and after its passage, all of which is passed and adopted this 24th day of May, 2022, by the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana.
Thank you, Robin. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
President, I'd make a motion to table this.
Second.
We have a
You know.
motion by Mr. Pettit to table. Chair recognize Mr. White as a second.
And the reason for the table, Mr. President and members, is this is a $5 million bond, but I think, with all due respect to Tom, Pat and I were talking about this before, we anticipate that this is for the public safety facility. However, all we know right now is that Chief Yurga is recommending it be on Colorado Street. We had talked about in previous RDC discussions, 1.7 million going to the silos at Sanders Farm for infrastructure, and the remainder would be for the public safety facility. But we don't know, there's still some things in the air that I'd like to talk with Pat and Tom Pittman about and bring this back at our June 14th meeting. Hopefully this is not a problem. Joe, I don't know if you've had discussions with Tom on this or not.
No, I haven't heard from Pittman on that.
Yeah, so the dollar amount is the only reason I'm asking for the table, Mr. President. If we need,
Mr. Pettit will add this to our workshop agenda then.
yeah,
Any other discussion on the motion to table? Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Councilman Span?
Aye.
Vice President Hardaway?
Yeah.
Councilman Minchuk?
Yes.
Councilwoman Yuzlak?
Yes.
Councilman Pettit?
yes.
Councilman White?
Yes.
President Bella?
Yes. 7 ayes, the motion carries, Mr. Pettit.
Thank you.
Moving on tonight to Resolution 22-22, Robin?
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville, Indiana, approving an order of the Town of Merrillville Plan Commission, approving a resolution of the Town of Merrillville, Indiana Redevelopment Commission. Whereas the Town of Merrillville Redevelopment Commission, governing body of the Town of Merrillville Department of Redevelopment, adopted a resolution on May 10, 2022, pursuant to Indiana Code 36-714, as amended. And whereas the declaration resolution declared certain parcels located in the 2008 expansion allocation area of the Merrillville Economic Development Area Number 2 as a new allocation area designated as the Crow Allocation Area. Remove such parcels from the existing 2008 expansion allocation area and added certain additional projects to the existing plan for the economic development area. Whereas on May 17, 2022, the Town of Merrillville Plan Commission met and adopted and approved its resolution determining that the declaratory resolution of the plan conformed to the plan of development for the town and designated such resolution as the written order of the Plan Commission approving the declaratory resolution and the plan as required by Section 16 of the Act. And whereas Section 16 of the Act prohibits the Commission from proceeding until the Plan Commission order is approved by the legislative body of the town. And whereas the Town Council of the town is the legislative body of the town and now desires to approve the Plan Commission order in order to permit the Commission to proceed with the development of the economic development area. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville, Indiana as follows. 1, the Plan Commission order is hereby approved, ratified, and confirmed in all respects. 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage by the Town Council, all of which is passed and adopted this 24th day of May, 2022, by the Town Council of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Pettit with a second by Mr. Minchuk to approve Resolution 22-22 as presented. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. President, this is the third resolution out of 4 that needs to be done to add the silos at Sanders Farm into its own separate sub-allocation area out of the Mississippi Street TIF district. Sean Andrews from Crow Holdings is here tonight. As I mentioned before, Crow Holdings is now the official owner of the 195 acres. So any development that they do is going to be collected in this sub-allocation area. And as we get back to the resolution that was tabled, they will in fact be paying for their own infrastructure eventually, as well as the public safety facility down the road, even though they have economic incentives. And we went through that with a couple of residents tonight before the meeting. So this is the third step. The fourth step will come back to the members of the Redevelopment Commission once Tom Pittman has advertised. We have to do a public notice advertisement, so we'll probably hear this, RDC members, at our June 14th meeting. I'll call a meeting of that. So with that being said, we're moving them forward.
Mr. President,
Mr. White.
I did have some questions on that, Sean. So that's a Crow allocation area. So once they allocate that area, so are they going to pay taxes in that area, or are they going to get all of the TIF district taxes?
No, they will pay. What will happen, Leonard, is they are also receiving a tax abatement that we structured where the first 3 years they will not be paying taxes on the buildings. In the fourth year, is Pat back? Angie, is it 12 or 18%? 12.5%. Then it escalates every year therefore. However, keep in mind that those first 3 years, Sean and Matt and Crow Holdings are going to probably build out all 5 buildings and probably all 200 or 2 million square feet of buildings. So when that fourth year comes in, and it sounds 12% may sound small, but when you're assessing 2 million square feet of space, distribution space, I can't even imagine what the tax bills are going to be. I think we've got it in the tax abatement, don't we, Angie? Yeah.
So what I'm asking, so those dollars that are in the allocation area, Those coming back to the town of
They're coming back to the town of Maryville 100%. And when we do the bond issue and determine what the public safety building's going to be, there will be a debt service. And that's why I say Crow Holdings eventually, given time, Crow Holdings eventually is not only going to pay for their infrastructure, they're also going to be paying for this fire station, is what this amounts to. They'll pay off those bonds.
So is this for a period of 20 years?
I think, yes. Mhm. Yeah, it's a 20-year bond.
I don't know where I'll be in 20 years, I can tell you that. sir. Might not even be on Earth.
What's the percentage rate on the bond?
It said not to exceed 7%, Margie, but once they go to market, it could get lower.
Okay.
I mean, Bob and Tom always do a good job of shopping this
Sure.
thing around for us. So,
Thank you. That's no more questions.
Any other questions or discussion on the motion to approve Resolution 22-22? Hearing none. Robin, roll call, please.
Councilman Span.
Aye.
Vice President Hardaway.
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yuzlak.
Yes.
Councilman Pettit.
yes,
Councilman White.
Yes.
President Bella.
Yes. 7 ayes, the motion carries. Moving on tonight to item 10, American Rescue Plan. We have the AP voucher register summary for the ARP purchases for May 24th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. King, one question. For radios for Public Works, $429.93. Did you guys order radios?
And we did, I didn't know we were gonna use ARP money for that.
I didn't hear you.
We did, but I didn't know we were gonna use ARP money for,
And we shouldn't be using our money.
I don't know how that got there.
Okay, thank you. So then it'll be minus the 40,
Well, why wouldn't we use ARP money for that?
because they got other money to use. He didn't want to use our money. That's why we.
Well, I mean, we can, if you'll let us, we will.
Okay.
And secondly, Mr. President, it didn't come before the committee.
That's a better reason.
Very true.
So, a question for Pat. We have two of these,
yeah, I was going to ask. the
two of
same.
these vouchers, Pat. Which is which, and do we need to approve both tonight? They're different vendors.
I think the only
Robin,
one.
can you help us with that?
The only one that we should be looking at, Mr. President, is the one that stated for today that the cost on it is $8,485.44 minus the $429.93.
Where's that?
So that's the sheet that's this
The
one.
short sheet. Is this
Yes.
one, Rich? We're
Right.
approving this one.
Right, that's the
This
one we're
one.
approving.
And we don't know why we have this one at our seat.
Look at the date on that one. I think the date on that one should be 5/5, up in the right-hand corner.
5-5.
It's 5/5
That was approved before.
Correct.
Right. So
Oh.
the only one that we're concerned about, I don't know why we got so many, but
I only know.
You have it because, I'm sorry,
5,
the
6,
last
7.
meeting it wasn't signed.
it's got to be signed.
Yeah.
I did just pass it to you.
You should have.
But
I looked.
You looked and you don't have one?
Nope.
I,
They gave me the right one. Right?
Nope, they gave you the wrong one. This is
Oh,
the
they
one we
gave me
vote
the
on.
wrong one? Oh,
so
I don't even have one.
rather than nickel and dime, I guess, Mr. President, we'll go ahead and approve the whole amount of $8,485.44. And that's your Christmas present.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Christmas.
So that's my motion, that we approve the ARP for $8,485.44.
Sneezing.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Minchuk to approve the American Rescue Plan voucher, the amount of $8,485.44, including new radios for Public Works.
Yeah, and what I will do, Mr. President, to make it legal, is the next time I have an ARP meeting, I'll bring this up and get it approved.
Is that okay, Joe?
Yeah, do it retroactive.
Beg your pardon?
Just do it retroactively.
Right, yeah,
It's here.
Then at least you'll have documentation on the
exactly.
signature.
Any other questions on the motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. White?
Maybe I hope I got the right document here.
Nope.
I don't have the right document.
No.
Okay, this is the only one I have.
That's the only one you have too? Margie didn't have it either.
No, I did not have it. Talk to Linda.
That one, yep. Yeah. The $8,500 one.
Okay. The reason I was even bringing this one up because I seen some funds here in the terms of, like, for example, the Clerk Treasurer's Office, Fund 2403. I just want to make sure I clearly understand when it says American Rescue Plan, why did it come from the Clerk Treasurer's Department, and then we have one that comes from the Police Department, and then we have another one that comes from the Parks. So I just wonder why did they come up under those titles? If it's not police, for another example, Robinson Engineering for professional engineering services came out Police Department Fund 005. So, could somebody explain to me how that works? Because I don't understand it.
We had the same question, Leonard, just so you know.
Okay. So, what do you want me to do about this?
The only one you gotta worry about is this.
It's a short
That's
one.
dated 5/24, the short.
That's what we're approving.
The other one's already been approved.
It was approved by the council?
It was approved at the last council meeting.
Okay, thank you. No more questions on that.
Any other questions from the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, that's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Hardaway. Ms. Shine, any BZA or large gathering actions tonight?
No, Mr. President, no BZA.
Thank you. Is there any old business before us tonight? Is there any new business tonight?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. White?
Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to talk about, specifically some more on the personnel side, I guess. It is my belief, for efficiency, that I think that we should be having meetings with our department heads, the entire council, because a lot of times I don't find out things happen until we get right here. I don't like to be caught off by surprise, but I think we at least every month, entire town council meets with the department heads and the town manager, because I like to see something else. I like to talk about more things in detail. I try not to put certain things out during a public meeting. So I just wanted to know if that's, do I need to make a motion to do that, or is that something that you can call
Well, you
yourself?
realize that if the seven of us get together, the press has got to be invited. Rick can't call an executive session just to talk to the department heads. It's going to have to be a
Well,
workshop.
here-
And the stuff you want to put out now
Yes.
is going to be put out back in the conference room, and Michelle and Chaz are going to be at that meeting. So
I thought in executive meetings they weren't.
you have 11 items.
Well,
you
we
can
would
call
have
an
no reason to
executive
meet in
session for.
executive session.
Well,
unless-
here's the bottom line for me. I want the council to meet with department heads as a whole, as well as with the town manager. I need to ask him a lot of things. If the press got to be there, then so be it. But,
We'll give that some thought.
well, do I need to make a motion? Since we're going to give it some thought.
It's not really something we would make a motion on, but if, you know.
Well, I mean, I want to answer. I just don't want it to give us a thought, because I don't know whose thought that's going to be. I'm telling you what my thoughts are.
So you can contact any department head any day at any
Right.
time and talk
Right.
to them extensively as a councilman.
Absolutely, but
And
I would.
how many department heads hear from me every week? Raise your hand.
Oh, I know how to get in touch with them one by one, but I think we have to do things as a group sometimes, with the entire council, not to be split apart and say, hey, parents, I need you to do this for me.
But
Unless
here's
it's
what
something
we'll
really
do.
specific.
We'll invite him to attend our next workshop.
Okay.
In June, the first week of June, whenever we nail that down.
Yeah,
And you can talk to them.
sure. And Mr. Town Manager, I would definitely need some reports from you, maybe some written reports, so, because I don't remember everything you tell me, and I don't tape it. So if I can get even with this, when you as a representative on the South Shore, I had no idea that we hired a director until I seen it in the paper.
So, yeah, actually, Leonard, it's really your job to keep yourself informed.
No.
A lot of times you don't pick up the packet until the night of the meeting.
Wait a minute, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Information for all of us.
What I'm asking you is not what I'm not doing. I'm just saying what we all need to do in the terms of working as a group. I don't like to be split, and then you and others sit with Pat, and you guys get some firsthand information that I never get. So as far as me picking up my thing, actually I can read a lot of that information on my email thread.
Great.
So it's not that don't know anything. I'm just saying I think we should meet That's, if you need me to make a motion, I'll put it in,
That's up to you, Councilman, whatever you want to do.
okay. Well, I'll try it first this way. If it doesn't work, then I will make a motion next time.
Any other new business before us?
Yes, sir.
Mr. White?
Parking lot on 61st and Broadway. I'm getting slammed on that parking lot. People think, let me
Not a
finish.
town parking lot, you know.
Well, we need to do something. It's a safety hazard. It's a public safety hazard.
Which parking lot?
It's the same one over there.
Southwest corner crossroads?
Yes, crossroads.
Have you called Israel?
Well, I talk to him about Mr. Israel all the time. He knows what type of response we get. It's not looking good over there. And it becomes a problem, a political problem for me. If does nothing get done, we just can't sit and don't do anything, saying, "Oh, that's private property."
Here's one thing I can recommend, Leonard, and I'm going to send this to Joe because I was very vocal about this before you got into office. And here's what I would recommend to get Mr. Israel's attention. I think we need to revisit that ordinance, Joe, and we need to revoke his M1 zoning and get him and his attorney's attention. And I bet you they'll start calling you or Pat when we rezone his property. I voted against it. Your predecessor thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, which is exactly why I didn't want to do this with this guy. I'm sorry.
No,
he doesn't do anything for the town.
Really, the zoning has nothing to do with the
The
repair.
parking lot, but how else are you going to get this guy's attention, Joe, unless you do something drastic like that and let him know, hey, we're taking your zoning
Well,
away.
have
He's
we-
got no
have we sat down with
marketability
him-
then.
Have we sat down with him face to face?
I don't know.
Well, here's what we have done. We made him last year spend, we didn't make him, we asked him, and he spent $50,000 according to him, but it was wholly inadequate. So I'm looking for some guidance from the council. I think what Sean is saying is appropriate, but
But the other thing you got to think of, Leonard, I've been waiting probably 10 years for the patio parking lot to get resurfaced.
And they
I
finally
just
getting it done,
noticed-
right?
Exactly. Under a new owner. The new owner's had the building how long, Sheila? 4 years?
Yeah.
And we've waited for that parking lot. So, again, times are different. I mean, for somebody to go in and repave a parking lot ain't.
And that's a massive parking lot. I mean,
That's a massive parking lot.
Well,
yeah.
but we don't have a choice not to do nothing. This is what I'm saying. It's still a public safety hazard there. This is what I'm talking about. And people don't understand, Councilman, that you can't do anything about it because it's private property. They don't put those two and two together. They just want to know why is it still in that condition. So I'm asking the council to find some way to help Ward 7 to resolve that problem because it's been out there a long time. I don't know, we even talked about maybe eminent domain. I don't know how we deal with this, but this is what I want to talk about behind doors, actually. Because to do nothing is not an option any longer.
My suggestion is, Councilman, if you're that concerned about this matter, you and the town manager, and I'll even volunteer to be there, and maybe even President Bella, sit down with the owner and ask him, what is his plans to recondition the parking lot?
Okay. Mr. Pat, can you take care of that for us?
Absolutely.
Thank
Be
you,
my
sir.
pleasure.
Thank you, sir. The last thing I have on the new business, Mr. President, is tonight, my friend Steve and I are going for a ride tonight. Not mobster ride, but but the reason we're going for a ride tonight because it's pitch black in a lot of parts of the ward. I mean, some parts you got to even put on bright lights, and it was never lights there. It's not lights out. It's lights not there. So people are telling me about these things, and even that anonymous letter we got, that's really what piqued my interest when she said, oh, I don't even know if it's a he or she, when they said that, the light was out on 61st. Boy, what did I look up and see? That light was out on 61st, and it made me look at other things. And it's just completely dark, and I appreciate Steve working some overtime tonight so we can do a little ride around for safety. It's a safety factor. Criminals love the dark.
That's true.
Thank you. I don't have anything else to add to that.
Very good. Public comment tonight, please state your name and address for the record, and we allow 3 minutes for comments. Is our clock not working, Joe?
We don't see the remote anywhere.
Gene Ward, Precinct Committeeman for Bell Oaks, Prairie Creek, and Innsbrook. You talking about the Illinois plates. I'd like to know what happened to the ordinance for 30 days and 60 days. 30 days warning, 60 days ticket. Whatever happened to that ordinance?
That's a state ordinance, Gene.
Huh?
The state statute states 60 days from the time you move to the state, whatever state you come from. When you move to Indiana, you have 60 days to register your vehicle in Indiana.
Well, then why don't we give a ticket to people that don't do that? Simple.
Well, if our policemen give the ticket and they write the ticket and it goes to court, the money goes to Indianapolis. Am I correct, Counselor?
Yes, you are.
Okay,
Except
that's
for a
where
small
we're at.
Well, then don't even bother with it.
We need a new ordinance so we could allow our policemen to go out there, write tickets, bring them here, and collect the money for Merrillville.
That's what I'm getting at.
Counselor?
Well, it's more of an issue of getting the resident to finally get their car registered correctly. It's not really about.
How did we
money for the
used to
town.
do it and got away with it
we don't
unless
law.
it was a company car out of Illinois? How did we do that? I've been a precinct committeeman for 21 years, so I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
How did we used to do it when Dorinda was in there?
Just we need an ordinance, I think, for the town of Merrillville.
It was an ordinance.
But this is not this type of ordinance or this type of enforcement shouldn't be strictly about making money. It should be about enforcing compliance.
Well,
Enforcing compliance with the statutory law.
what I'm understanding, though, at the time, if after the 60 days and they wrote the tickets, your insurance on your car was no good. Now, what's a person going to do?
I don't know about the conditions of their insurance policy.
Well, that's what the policy used to be. I'm just wondering what happened to that ordinance. How to get off the books all of a sudden?
Thank you, Gene. We're doing the back and forth thing, which we really don't allow, so
Okay.
giving you as a commissioner. So. Next, ma'am.
My name is Netta Doty. I live at 1134 West 72nd Court in Merrillville. I am coming back every time you have a meeting about my backyard and the construction. I have a letter from the doctor, from the vet, stating that the construction was an issue and contaminated my grass. Now, he did send somebody else to cut the grass, but those pieces are so embedded in the grass, there's nothing he can do. And then he tried to get smart about the situation and say, well, I'll come and rake it. Well, I have almost a half an acre. How you gonna rake a half an acre by yourself? And then what I wanna post to the council is, the holiday is coming. They come on Saturdays. What am I supposed to do about my backyard? Am I gonna eat dirt burgers? We got little Crenshaw, Vegas in the back of my yard. I can't do anything. I can't go outside, can't open my doors. So what am I gonna do for the holiday? Are you guys gonna have a good time? Of course. What about us? What about me? So we need to come up with some kind of something for on the weekends, so whereas they don't have to be working on the holiday weekend where I can enjoy my backyard like everybody else. I mean, that's fair. So can we come up with something? I don't know where we're gonna go with this. This has been, the quality of my life is ruined. It's disturbing. I'm always itching, I'm scratching, my allergies are on 150. My house shakes every freaking morning. I'm tired of it. Something has to be done, and I will be here every single time you guys have a meeting till something gets done. I don't know what else. My quality of life is horrible. The dust, the mold, the viruses, the bacteria, everything is spreading, and it's horrible. My dog can't even go outside and play. I can't even open up my backyard. I can't even get my deck done because all the dust. My house looks like something from World War III from back, because I can't do anything about it. My pool looks filthy. It's like somebody just took a dirt bath in it. I can't do anything. But this is not the quality of life I signed up for, and I refuse to live like this. So we got to come up with something for the
What's the
holiday. I
status,
want a
Sheila?
barbecue.
Thank you, ma'am. Sheila, what's the status? You've talked to the contractor, and
So-
what are solutions here?
Myself and as well as Pat have talked to Kenneth, and he has, well, the first thing I told him he needed to do was get a water truck out there. And he's mowed, and he's gonna have her pool cleaned. And he's agreed to do, and Pat can tell you, because he talked to him, to do whatever he needs to do to, with the neighbors. So, I will, Netta, I will contact to see if they're going to be out there on the holiday, and I'll call you. I'll call you to see if they're gonna be out there on the holiday.
Why is it making such a mess, this development? What is the problem? Why is there so much dust and dirt?
Because they wasn't able to go out, according to the developer, they wasn't able to go out in the early part because it was too wet and muddy out there. And now that it's dry, it is causing the dust, but they should have a water truck out there, working alongside. And they should be finished. I did ask them when they would be finished. They should be finished in about a week. But they have agreed to do whatever they needed to do. And I talk to him every day, and I talk to Netta every day, because I'm trying to make sure that she's taken care of.
Mr. President, pardon me, thank you, Sheila. If I may, when Sheila referenced they're prepared to do what they need to do for the residents, we suggested, and they've wholeheartedly agreed to the company, Providence, Sheila? Providence, the developer, meet with the residents at the residents' convenience. So we'll try and make that happen as soon as possible, where representatives from the development firm themselves will be on hand to answer your questions. You know, we continue to try and do the best we can, but we're not affiliated with them. We're facilitators.
Thank you, ma'am. We're doing what we can, okay? Thank you.
Mr. President, just one more thing on the new business, if nobody else have any.
We're under public comment, Leonard. Is there any other public comment tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Sabina Miller, 3120 West 75th Plex. First of all, I want to thank Matt Lake for coming out and looking at that ditch issue again. I do believe that since 2 years went by, and every single year the poison hemlock is going to seed, it has absolutely taken hold just about anywhere. I could take all of you guys down the roads and could point out poison hemlock on almost every street, on almost every property. But I appreciate the efforts going in. I want to add something to these by your house signs, because one sign that I originally did not expect to be one of those is one, they're yellow signs, they have prices on it, they'll say like, house for sale, $49.9, with a phone number underneath. If you call that phone number, there is not a house for sale. This is a gimmick for people to call actually that number, and that is as bad as the I buy your house cash. So I want to add that in there. The other thing I wanted to ask is, I know Mrs. Uselak was talking about mowing us up to speed on the parks, but what do we actually do to clean up these parks? Because every time I see one and I go to one, they're actually filthy with trash. There are alcohol bottles. There is equipment to play for little babies, basically. There's nothing for adults. But I still find used condoms, dirty diapers, that's obviously from the babies, alcohol bottles, cigarette butts, everything in those parks.
Which park is that you're talking of?
One of them is Rosenbaum, which is right down the
Rosenbaum?
street from me, which is a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. And I have picked up a lot in that park and everywhere else in that neighborhood, but that park is always in terrible shape. And when I'm coming to the trash, so I know we've had that conversation a couple of meetings back, but it really, I don't know what we can do, but I'm getting fed up with people just driving down roads, opening up their windows, throwing out whatever the heck they've got in their cars, and leaving it to us to pick up.
Yep, me
And
too.
this is every single day. And so you will know roughly where I am, is 0.7 miles from McDonald's. Well, McDonald's isn't even the worst offender. All the other fast foods, I see much more than McDonald's, except when you go to McDonald's. And I think we need to hold McDonald's accountable for picking up their trash up there, which they're not doing. I don't ever see anybody picking up trash. And I think every fast food place, every place that sells something that people take out and they throw their garbage out, I think they need to be held to the standards where they're not dirtying our neighborhoods like the way they are. Because how are we supposed to have pride in our neighborhoods? We don't, so unless we go out and pick up children. And I think that's all I had.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ryan Messarch, 201 East 68th Place. To do something different, I'm going to start off with thanking Sheila Shine in the Planning Department and Maria, I don't know her last name. I came here last week to get a building permit. It is what it is, but they explained it, and I was probably here a total of 20 minutes over a couple of days, and getting the permit and asking questions about the permit was absolutely beautiful. They handled everything very nicely. I love all the people in that department. Not that I don't love the other departments, but we're going to shine a light on building and planning because I really appreciated their help. I have a concern about these panhandlers. A lot of people are talking about them. I don't care what we do with them. Ticket them, fine them, arrest them, tell them to move along down the road. I don't care. I'm tired of seeing them. They're mostly scam artists, and they make our town look terrible. We have an ordinance on the books. Let's enforce the ordinance and keep our neighborhood safe and keep the panhandlers out. Appreciate your attention.
Is there any other public comment tonight? Seeing none, we do have some announcements. Vacant and abandoned properties meeting will be May 27th at 10:30 a.m. The next town council meeting is June 14th at 6, and I'll advise the council of the next workshop. Will be the first week of June. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Where's the plan?
We're going to stay.
And
Yeah,
we're
there is a
gonna
plan
Pepsi and,
commission
hot
workshop
dogs
at 6:30.
It's not on my note.
Man Commission
Cheeseburger.
workshop.
from McDonald's.
It's not on.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Well, where is the plan?
It's not on here. I don't know.
Who is doing this?
You got plan commission today?
Who's doing this? This is about the third time.
I know. I know. I know.